Hi everyone, welcome back to Art Stories. Today we have Haisha Shahalimi. Hi Haisha, thank you so much for coming. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So Haisha is one of our 2025 exhibitors this year, and we're going to get started with hearing about your artistic journey from the beginning. I know you said you started in childhood. What did that look like?
Well, I sort of bumped into it when I was in high school, and I was presented with a block of clay by my teacher, and I didn't know really what to do. We were given a picture of making something of a head of something, and within 3 hours, I came up with a head of a monk, and when I was working on it for the first time, I truly felt connected to the clay. It felt very natural to me, and I feel something ignited in me, and at that time. So from then on, that piece ended up being at a museum for youth in Quebec City at that time, and just became really a part of my life, and I haven't let it go since.
Mm.
Um, so that's how it started, in short.
Yes, thank you. And I read in your bio that it was ahead of a Tibetan monk.
Yes,
Did you have the intention or did it just happen?
it just happened. We were given a few examples, and I kind of went with just getting a face right, and with adding on details and details. It turned into a monk. But I've been, now in my at this age, I'm realizing there has been some connection between the Eastern cultures and the uh, monks and those spiritual um, areas of the world that I somehow I have a connection, and whatever I do, it ends up being in that area. It ends up
Mm.
being whether it's a Buddhist monk or it's an Eastern or spiritual being or some sort of abstract that has so much meaning when it comes to deeper level of consciousness.
Yes, I love consciousness, exploring consciousness.
Yes.
It's fun. I feel the same. I'll meditate before painting and then just see what comes through and whatever's meant to be will be.
Right, right. Yes.
Is there, I know you mentioned now you're shifting into expressing movement and drama in abstract forms. What is,
Yeah.
how do you do that?
Well, I try to have some sort of a plan when I start a canvas or a sculpture. I can guarantee you that it'll never end up the same way that I would sketch it. And I'm
Mm.
starting to trust that because every time I finish the piece, it has its own plan, almost as if whatever I'm sketching is an amateur of what the product is going to be. So it's a slight of a bit of a direction, but I truly trust what comes through my hands, and um, the process, the color, even the title. I try not to put it a title until the end product. I truly trust whatever is supposed to come through me
Mhm.
will be the result and it usually is lots of drama, lots of movement. I'm somebody who would look at a painting and all I can see is just try to put some dimension in it. If I could just go into the painting and put dimension and put a little bit of sculpture into the painting, that's what that's in me. That's what I like to do. So that comes through, and I cannot work with flat surface. I just need to put so much more into it with dimension, with shadows and light. I like to play with that. Some of my sculptures, I put it is a structure, but I also like to play with shadows. So I put lighting on it, so the shadow becomes a part of the presentation, a part of the story of the art piece.
And you'll sculpt that shadow with it.
I sculpt it or I put the light on it in a way that anytime that the viewers are watching,
I
the
see.
shadow becomes a part of it.
Oh, very
And it's quite
nice.
movement. There's a lot of movement. I try to put some kind of, there's a little bit of technical issues in there, which, it's such a, I'm having trouble with it. So some technicians have to help me with that to
Mm.
make the light move enough for the story to fall into place.
Ah, very nice. So each
Yeah.
exhibition is a story that in interactive,
Yes.
you're watching the whole thing happen.
That's right. Yes, the color of the lights. The even when I put it in the sunlight or the lights that's coming from the window, it changes. So the colors change every day. It looks quite different.
Right. Oh, I'm excited to see your exhibition.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hmm. And I saw as well you said avant-garde art. Did I pronounce that
Avant
correctly?
avant-garde. Yeah, it's a French word. It comes from a time of the wars where the first line of the soldiers in wars, it was they were getting the avant-garde, the guarding the army. It's really it means it's something that hasn't been explored. It's
Mm,
something new, something that can really go in any direction. There's no expectation, no formula for it.
right. How do you play with texture and dimension into it?
What I do is usually I work with metal, metal mesh
Mm.
to make certain dimension, to give it the volume, or styrofoam, plaster, and clay. Paint comes at the end, acrylic paint,
Yeah.
just to make it look. You can make styrofoam or clay look like metal or brass with that kind of paint. Um, so that's how the dimension comes through metal and yeah, styrofoam.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exciting. Oh, it's fun. I've
yeah.
never played, well, a little bit with clay, but not much. I'd like to explore more of it. I feel
Oh
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
limitless. And
Uh-huh.
working with your hands as well.
That's right. Yes, it's amazing. Yeah.
Can you explain what you mean by couture art and how you incorporate your uniqueness into it, please?
Yes. So couture art is something as we know, couture one of its kind. There wouldn't be a replica of it. When I make my pieces, a lot of it is through whatever comes at the moment, and that moment may never repeat itself.
Mm,
So what the product comes, I can guarantee that nothing like it can be replicated. Even if I tried, I wouldn't be able to replicate it. I can always make something similar, and that's what
right.
usually some clients do, to look at my art, and if they like the style of it or if they want something, then I can try to make something as similar as possible. So
Hmm.
the style is the what they're going to go for, but to replicate something of the exact, it's impossible, and that's
Hmm.
where the couture name comes, because it's one of its kind and it can never be replicated.
Right. That's nice. Yeah, you're not making
Mhm.
any copies of anything.
No, no, it
That's
can't.
great.
And even if well, you would try it, you can't unless you put it in some sort of a, those photocopy machines where where
Yeah.
you replicate.
A mold of it,
Yes, that's
but it
right.
doesn't
Yeah.
hold the same energy.
No, no. And as you know, speaking of energy, every piece of mine has a certain incorporates certain energetic minerals in there. Every piece, if it's some sort of a water piece, I put some kind of shells in there. If it's an earthy
Oh,
piece, I put whatever mineral resonates with that piece. Which it could be some sort of a gem. Some of my pieces have pearl,
oh wow.
real pearl and lapis lazulis and quartz and lots of beautiful minerals that I
Nice.
collect, and I try to put it in there. Sometimes you can't even see it, but the energy is there.
Yes, that I yeah, I often I just got a new crystal yesterday, but I'll often paint before I do the painting. I'll put positive words on the canvas and then I'll paint over it
Oh,
just to
that's
put
right.
that
Oh,
energy
beautiful.
into it. It
Yes, and
makes a
it works.
difference. I think
It
yeah, you
does.
can feel it. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, great.
Yeah, I think well, I think all artists are a little bit spiritual in some sense of
That's
you're
right.
channeling something through you.
That's right. Yes, it's quite. It's a beautiful way of expression. I think it's something that
Yeah.
you cannot put in words. It's almost an abstract poetry materialized.
Yes. What does your artistic practice look like? Like when you go, do you have a sort of routine to get yourself into it, or just is it sporadic? What is that process? How does that happen for you?
So first, like you said, it's a sort of meditation that puts you in, and everybody's got their own way of meditating, right? It doesn't have to be what people understand that you sit
Yes.
quietly. That's not it. Um, what I really resonate is music.
Mm.
So I put my classical music or whatever at that moment uh, comes to me. I put it loud in my studio, and it just revolves the whole studio with sound of this beautiful sound, and that really makes a difference in my thoughts and imagination. I dive into it with that. I prep my drink, my tea, or my,
Mhm.
um, the little bits of cleaning up and organizing, and that just kind of puts me right into the environment. So I need a lot of time, uninterrupted time.
Mhm.
I think the start of it is the music. I really surround myself with that, and when I get into it, I completely lose track of time. I have found myself going into my studio around 3 4 p.m. afternoon, and the next time I look up, if my body wouldn't let me, warn me that okay, you gotta go rest, you gotta sit, or a headache hits me because I haven't drank water,
Yeah.
um, I looked up to the window, and it's been almost sunrise.
Yeah. Oh, all night.
So yes, all night. It's unbelievable. I don't know how. And then then my body kicks in, and I go lay down, and I cannot move. So, but
Yeah.
it's exhilarating, and that's what I think meditation is in. When you're in a state of flow,
I was gonna say flow
and
state sounds like it.
time
Hmm.
stops. I mean, when you hear about these yogis who sit in a meditative state, and days and hours pass and they don't move, it's because they have completely um, fallen into another dimension.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how it is. Even though I'm working in here and I'm doing, but my mind is completely um, has has gone through some other dimension and working through me here. So it's
Yeah.
really beautiful.
It is, it's so beautiful. I understand exactly what you're saying. That's how I
Yeah.
feel as well. Your consciousness just goes
Yes.
somewhere and then it's like, whew, and then you almost forget, you could, I at least forget what I'm doing or well, I'm
That's right.
painting, but I'll be so close to working on the nose and then 6 hours I'll pull back and it's like, oh right, I was working on a nose. I didn't even know what I was doing anymore, but I knew I had to do the light and the dark there.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm.
And I look at my work that I've done at the right when I started. I'm like, did I do that? How did I come up? How did I have the patience to do all these details? And
Yes.
so it's amazing. Um, but I have to trust when I get into that mode, that zone of flow. I just have to trust and let go.
Yes.
Hmm.
Isn't that the key? Letting go.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. How would you say your upbringing? Thank you. Sorry, my neighbor just said there's something for me. Um, how would you say your upbringing and growing up in different parts of the world has influenced your practice?
Well, I believe I coming from such a different background and culture as can only enrich your experiences, and like we talk about, whatever comes through you, it's not just where you are right now. It definitely comes from some sort of a past, your history, your back, things probably you don't even remember, possibly past lives that are coming through you. um, I think, having lived born in Afghanistan and coming to the West at age 11, um, gone through, learning a new language, completely new culture, um, moving from Canada to the US, back to Canada, having children,
Mm.
putting my career in the back seat for about 20 years, just so I could have been as much as I could possibly be present for my children. Um, all of that really, really builds up a few traits in you. And then when
Hmm.
I was ready to explore my art again during the pandemic, which, one of the uh, blissful things that happened here during the pandemic is I had time. I had time to do something creative, and that's when everything came out. So
Mm.
everything that I've been holding back for about 20 years came out on canvas. My first piece came, and it's called "And So I Rise." So it's a very personal piece where my whole history and my journey is quite quite present in that piece. So that's how I think it has enriched, and I have explored it at the same time as the viewers, and I still am. Whatever comes
Hmm.
out on my pieces and my canvases, it's an exploration of whatever
Hmm.
I've gone through, what I'm going through. It's very beautiful and healing.
It's so healing. Yes, I
Hmm.
agree. Art and expression. I
Yes.
saw something the other day and it said, uh, basically along the lines of like the opposite of depression is not happiness, it's expression. So go
Mm.
create. If you're feeling down or whatever it might be, don't try to make yourself happy. Go create something and that process will move you and heal you or whatever it might
That's
do for
right.
you. But that's the I thought it was really nice and I resonated with it as an artist. It's
That's
funny
right. Yeah.
you said past lives because at the beginning of this conversation you said something about the maybe when you had to create a human head at first. I just in my head I was like past lives. Maybe that's why you chose. But I thought, oh well, we'll see if that where the conversation goes because that
Yeah.
might be a bit abstract if that's not where your thought process is. But I wonder if that plays into your art as well.
Oh, I bet it does. If I could just tune in and remember, I would love to. But I think as human beings being living in this realm, we're only limited to what we can remember. Those of us who are quite advanced in meditation and going deep into our consciousness, they're gifted in seeing what's beyond this
Hmm.
realm and what has been in the past. But right now, I'm not. I'm very much normal human, remembering.
Yeah,
But
whatever normal
yeah,
is.
I try, to tune in. But whatever comes to me, I think it comes to me subconsciously.
Yes.
Unconsciously, it comes through my hands, and I think that's what it's a presentation of what I look into, and that's when I reflect and see what could it possibly mean to me and why did it come through me. So that's how the stories come alive when I look at the result and then I make and analyze it and make sense of it. But and every time I think when you create, when you say healing and so, when you create the action of creation, especially when your hands with your hands, there's something about it. I've studied this, and many authors have talked about it, and scientifically proved it that when you work with your hands and you create through your imagination, you get an upgrade of consciousness.
Oh,
So every
really?
time you create an art, every time you create something new, your brain goes to different your neurons act and activate, and you do become upgraded a little bit.
Oh, I like that. That's nice to
Yeah,
know.
Yeah.
and give it the time that
So
it
create
deserves.
as much as you want. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, I'm not an artist," and I said, "Yeah, you are. Everyone is in some way, shape, or form. You just
That's
need to
right.
do something that feels aligned with you."
Yes. Yeah. Create.
Hmm.
Create.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have other artistic practices that do you express yourself
Well,
through other means?
I enjoy many, but if only time can allow, I will explore so many. I just love poetry. I feel very, very amateur in it. I love words and expressions that it's so beautiful. And that also takes me, when I listen to my music, takes me to another realm. So does poetry. I would love to be able to express myself, but I think my talent does not lay there.
Mm.
I don't have time to polish that so much. And I enjoy videography. I love making little videos. Again, that too. I'm quite amateur, but I'm gonna stick to one. It's best to just
Mhm.
stick to one and do your best, even though you have many, many other interests. So um, if I tap into everything, then I won't be able to master any of it. It's best
I
to master
agree.
one thing and then still continue to have the interest. So I take photos and videos of my work and I try my best with the limited resources of technical stuff that I have. Um, but my main focus right now is creating my art. So there's
Mm.
just not enough time to do everything.
Yeah, to do everything well.
Hmm.
Were you ever before your kids doing anything completely different? And did you ever have a moment where you're like, "Oh, this is not for me. I got to go with this," or was this
Yeah.
always very clear to you?
Well, as you know, the world of art is not very practical, especially when you start. When you feel like I have to make a living, you can't really, spend years and years creating something, hoping that it'll go somewhere. So you have to make a living. I did study business. I worked in business, and it was still related to arts, but on the business side of arts.
Mm.
I worked in sales and marketing, and then I supported my husband and his career. We worked together for a while, but then arts really came together for me. Truly, the way it has in this um, you know vastness, the greatness of it right now that I'm
Mhm.
exploring. It really came recently, very very late in my life during the pandemic.
Mm.
That's why I can truly say I dove into it and I gave it all I had because I had the time. Before that, I was just busy being a parent and working just to be practical.
Yeah, and I think it needs the time, um, like you said before, uninterrupted, where it's not really
Yeah.
like a regular job where you can do a couple hours and then do a couple hours. It's
Mm.
like you need to, I call it power painting, and I block out, depending how much time
Yes,
I can give myself, 2 weeks to 4 weeks to to have nothing else. And I don't even know about
exactly.
eating or working out. We'll figure that out when I feel like it. But it's like from the
That's
moment
right.
I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, and then that's when you can just like produce
That's right.
whatever this series. But I find when I try to do an hour here and there throughout the whole year, it's just like I don't know what I'm doing. This isn't working. You need
Yeah,
to
and
just
imagine having, yeah, two kids depending on you, relying on you, and you have to run around and be the soccer mom, the volunteer mom, the field trip
yeah.
mom. There's no way you can have let alone a little bit of a rest time, let alone hours and hours to create, because your mind is
Hmm.
not even in there. Your mind is constantly busy with what how to
Hmm.
take care of the children.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
so.
Well, you were creating a human in a different form of art before.
Yes, yes, that's right. Yes, and it's got its own gratification. It's a beautiful. I don't regret. I love spending time with my children and experiencing their life growing up.
Hmm.
But I think everything happens for a reason and the right timing. Maybe I wouldn't have had the experiences, the feelings that I have now to create if it was just, it came easy to me. It came at
Yeah.
a, whenever I wanted it. So
Yeah. Sounds
I
like there
have
was
like,
almost this, in the best way possible, explosion and expansion during COVID when you had that time to
that's
release
right. Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
was within you.
And I have great appreciation for it now. I feel like I just truly appreciate the gift that it has brought me because I didn't have it for so long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really nice. It's exciting and it's inspiring
Mm.
to women who have had a life and children and because I think it's work to allow yourself the freedom even after a chapter of your life to go, all right, I can come back to this and explore it even
That's
more.
right. Yes, yes. And a lot of women have come to me expressed that it's so inspiring. It is truly nice to see somebody who's, they're about the same age as me, and you forget what your passion is, what your interests are when you become so involved in the life of a mother, and quite forget yourselves.
Yeah,
So it's hard to come back and have the courage to step into who you truly are without the life that you've built for so long.
yeah.
Um,
Well, you
yeah,
surrender yourself in your life for 20 to 30 years, depending on
that's right. That's right.
how long this.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Hmm.
freedom. It's liberation. It's beautiful. And now I can't imagine life without working on art.
Hmm. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's really exciting. Um, Back to your art, the three-dimensional canvas. What is that? Are you creating it? How are you working with it? Could you elaborate? I don't even know the right question.
I think what I'm understanding is from scratch. How does it become three-dimensional?
Yes.
Or how the actual process goes. I use wood canvas,
Mm,
which is really, it's just easier instead of the fabric. Um, the panel is a lot easier to hold a lot of weight. So I
right.
use that and I staple, glue, nail whatever dimension I need, whether it's metal, whether it's styrofoam or leather, these sort of things. The base of it, the structure of it, I make that solid on the canvas. Then on top of that, I use plaster sheets. Those bandages looking plaster. I cover that, and it becomes a sort of a cast. When you break your arm and you cast it, then it looks like
Yeah.
that. That's how you
Mm,
you build it. So
okay.
the arm, say you break your arm, that's the metal, and then you cover it with plaster, and then it takes that shape. So on top of that plaster, I build up more and more. I just splatter more plaster, and then I let it dry. There's a long period of waiting time for it to dry completely. If it's even a little bit damp, it's going to mold. So I have to leave it completely dry, put lots of fan and ventilation over it. It dries after maybe 2-3 days, depending on how thick it is. Um, then I apply primer, let that dry for a long time again. Then I apply paint. Then it turns
Right.
into, you see where that piece is, the heart,
Yes.
that one.
The red one.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh, I see, so dimensional. Yeah.
that's right.
Oh,
Yeah. So that,
that makes me want to go experiment.
yeah, it's really. I'm gonna. There's a gallery that my work is exhibited in North Vancouver.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be doing a little bit of workshop there, just to
When is
teach.
that?
So sometime soon I'll post it. It's just being talked about, and we just need to find the space, the time that the gallery is available, so we can
Hmm.
take the whole gallery or just the workshop area to teach. A lot of people have expressed interest in how to make that dimension happen. Um, I can go bring that over here if
Yeah, I would love to see
just
it. Thank you.
just to see it in the light.
That's perfect. Thank you. Oh, wow, it's huge. Oh, wow. So it's on a
So you see
wood
the
panel,
canvas,
canvas.
wood,
Yes?
and the metals. The metals have gone under. You know, that's how I shape the metals in a very those soft metal mesh. It takes any shape, right? And then I put it on, I glue it, I staple it, then the plaster goes over, the white
Yeah.
plaster, then more plaster with a brush. Then when
Mm,
all of that dries, then I apply the paint. The paint, the coats of paint, it probably has taken about 4 or 5 layers
and
of
is
red
it
paint for it to
acrylic
become
paint?
so rich. Yes.
Wow. And it's so, you've just upped the game with texture and dimension.
Yeah.
I was playing with some molding paste because I was craving dimension too, but this is incredible. What a beautiful
Yeah.
color too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this paint was just really hard to find. I had to go to Ontario. It was the only store that they had it, and I couldn't trust them sending it by mail because there were so many that I ordered and it wasn't the right shade. So I went myself and picked the paint, and I brought it home. This so this and I considerably, the amount of work that it took. It's quite simple because it's only one color. If it's a
Right.
color that I have in some other my canvases where you want it to look like either wood or metal, then there's so many layers and shades that need to go over. There's a, I would say minimum of 5 coats of paint has to go on for it to turn into a rich color with so much depth in
So
it. Yeah,
much
so that's
depth.
where the painting skills, which is not my forte. I'm not a painter. I'm a sculptor. So painting is just, the challenge for me.
Right. Interesting. Interesting for you to say that. But there's still so much dimension with it because of
Yes.
the texture. So
Hmm.
it's nice as one color. It's
Yeah.
mesmerizing. There's a lot
Hmm.
to explore within it.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So when I was telling you about how the plan is made by another, uh, you know, um, another entity of some sort.
Yeah.
My plan was for this one to just be, I'm like, okay, let's not do so much drama. Let's just make something safe and people can relate to. And again, that's the wrong way to think. I've learned that you cannot try to make art to please the audience. You have to do
Yeah.
it whatever comes through you. You have to do it for you. So that's when I learned in this piece because so I tried to do something very abstract, something modern, something pop art, and I was going to call it just red. With that modern way. And then this came up. As soon as I applied the red on it, all I could see was heart. So you
Yeah.
can see when you put it up,
A literal heart.
you know,
Oh, wow.
like it's just unbelievable
Oh,
how
wow.
it took a shape of a dissected heart.
That's crazy that it's so exact of the valves flowing through
Yeah,
and
like who
like
would have thought? Not me. That was not my plan. So,
that's cool.
and then I'm like, oh my god, I cannot unsee this. Um, so it just, and I'm like, okay, this is way beyond me, and
Mm,
like whatever. And at that time, it was really really relevant to what I was going through.
mm,
So isn't
yeah.
that amazing how it came through me without me realizing it, and it was truly
Yes.
it was inside of me.
Yes, yeah, it was the definition of self-expression.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
red too, not settling for the shade that didn't feel right.
That's right. I tried so many shades, and this was the only one. And this kind of paint is a really really interesting one. When I bought it, the sellers they said this is the kind of paint that pharmaceutical companies they buy in order to make their the shell of the medications, which is So if I was to remove the paint, the whole thing would come out in one piece. So it can easily
Oh,
be molded into a little shape of its own. When it dries, it stays one piece. Like it doesn't chip. It will just remove
Oh,
itself like like a cover.
I see. So it's a different uh,
It's an
style of,
acrylic paint.
yeah,
It's just
but it's
really, really, however, the chemistry of it is very unique. And yeah, that's why it was
interesting.
really high-end paint, and it was just one of the most expensive paints I ever purchased.
Yeah. It's an expensive well, I mean, not hobby, but at the beginning, it's an expensive hobby when you're getting into artwork
Yes,
because you need
that's right.
everything and you need it all there right in front of you because you're not sure what you're going to need to use in the moment.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you can't take shortcuts. When you see something quality and you really want to do that, use that. I sort of recommend go for it because it will pay off at the end.
Hmm.
Anything I have invested in the best quality, it has always come back. As opposed to taking shortcuts or cutting corners, the cutting corner part will come back and haunt you, and
Hmm.
you're always going to go back to fixing it. But if you do it right from the beginning and you don't cut so much, um, you don't compromise your vision and the
Hmm.
quality, it'll pay back.
Yeah, I love it. Have you noticed a pattern with your artwork? Say for this one, a heart related to whatever you were going through at the time. Do you notice, well, there could be many patterns, but it seems like with the head and then the heart, do you notice a pattern of humans sort of evolve or it could
Absolutely.
be anything?
Absolutely. I think you've seen my piece Gaia.
Mhm.
So that's a woman laying down, and half of her body is blended with the mountains,
Yes.
and her hair, all of that. So that's Gaia, and the inspiration behind that was let her sleep. As she wakes, she will move mountains. And that
Oh.
was the time. Yeah, that was before the heart. That was the time when I was truly coming out of my shell.
Mm.
I felt like for 20 years, just regarding my art, as far as this was concerned, I was quite asleep. My creativity was asleep, and when it came alive, I couldn't stop. It was truly everything. So much creativity, so many ideas were coming out of me, and I really related to Gaia, where she's the goddess of earth, and when you say let her sleep, because if she wakes, she's gonna shake the
Mm.
world. She's gonna move the world, and I truly felt like my universe, my earth became, um, it shook, it moved, it cracked,
When you
when I
woke up.
created, when I started my art. Yeah.
Wow, that's exciting. That's beautiful. I'm feeling chills
Yeah.
right now. It's
Oh,
like,
thank
oh.
you. Yes. And that can relate to a lot of women, I think, especially these, I think any woman who's ever, or anybody, men too,
Yeah.
um, when they dive into their authentic passion and they find what they really want to do, that's how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially mothers, it's completely different when you've sort of, I mean, not pause, you're just different focus for however many years, but with my mom as well, I'm always like, thank you for sacrificing your life because,
Yeah.
but, and then I did notice that, not that it was on pause, but a resume once the youngest had graduated. It was like, okay, well, it's so interesting
Yeah.
to see all of these different chapters and flows in and out of different categories, like your focuses, I
Yeah.
would say. But
Yeah.
a majority, I guess, of female artwork I do find is that not always, but this feminine self-expression of just an energetic shift.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it's easy to. I wouldn't call it even. When I talk about the time that I spend with my raising my children, we're not. I wouldn't even call it compromise because I really think everything happens for a reason and at the right timing. And whatever the gifts that I got from that also built me to who I am today.
Yes.
The experience and the love that you feel for those times builds up something. It stores it, and then whenever it's ready to come out, it'll come out in the shape that it's meant to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Would you ever do art with your kids, or is it a bit difficult with your type of supplies around children?
I would love to. My son's not really interested in. He's more of the science guy.
Mm.
He, at the beginning, I'm like, so what do you think? I just did this. What do you think of this? And he's like, that looks cool. That looks cool. But and then my daughter is more into art. So she understands color and dimension, and she's my artist critic,
Yeah.
which is so good to have because most
Yes.
people would just say something nice. But she comes right up and says, "You can do better. I've seen better."
Oh,
Or the
that's
color doesn't
nice.
really, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The color doesn't really fit what you're looking for. Maybe you should. She's truly realistically
Mm.
critical, and she's like, "When you want to hear the truth, I'm going to give you the truth." Or you want to really, but then when she gives me the compliments, when she tells me that how right it is, then
Yes.
that means okay, I've done it right.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. She's speaking her truth, and
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah,
is, at least you know it's honesty. Hmm.
that's right.
Well,
Yeah,
it's nice
yeah,
to have a critic because for me, I find when people go, good job, it's like, thanks, but that doesn't help me. I want to know how to make it better or just
that's right.
whatever, evolving it.
Yes, that
Hmm.
constructive criticism that only a true friend would give you,
Yes.
who
Yeah.
wants you to evolve.
Hmm. Do you ever work with other artists, either collaborate or in the same room, or do you find you zone into your space and that's how you work best? Or have you?
I think when it comes to my own this kind of art, I really need to be in my own space. I think even if somebody else is in the room, it's very distracting.
Hmm.
Um, so I really need to be in my own head and my own body
Hmm.
when I'm working. But as far as some other medium, when I work with clay, I have this wonderful, wonderful teacher who's a talented sculptor, and he is so fast and so quick, and I have so much to learn from him. So I do take some time with him to learn certain techniques, just because he's been there and doing it for so long, and he's
Hmm.
faster and quicker, and he can give me shortcuts. um, Him I learn from. So with him, I work with clay sculptures, and he's always there to support, and he helps other people as well. But he gives me great tips. So I love working with him. And as far as collaborating, um, I'm always looking to collaborate with some artists who are, there's not too many artists I know who does the same style of art as me. So whether it's photography or sculpture, brass work, I will be doing some collaboration and exhibitions to showcase
Hmm.
our work together in the same gallery. Right now, there are two pieces in the gallery in North Vancouver that is exhibited with, and they're painters and some multimedia artists who are exhibited at the same time as me. Very
Hmm.
different than my work, but we're about three artists that I've exhibited with. So
Oh,
it
that's nice.
fits the theme of the exhibition, which is female artists from
Hmm.
different backgrounds, different, completely different worlds coming together.
Hmm.
So
That's
yeah,
nice.
I
Yeah.
love to collaborate with different artists.
Yeah. What does your exhibition history look like? Is it been, do you enjoy it? Do you prefer to just create for yourself, or do you enjoy the process of exhibiting?
Well, when I first started, it was really just trying to create and just trying to let everything out of myself, not knowing where it's going to go. But slowly, slowly, when I started trusting it and I started showing a little bit by bit, and I saw how people were inspired and appreciative of seeing it. So then I became more open in showing and more confident about showing it. So um, within a very short couple of years, I did my first inauguration exhibition I turned my home into a gallery, and I had quite a few the full house
Oh, how
of people
nice.
who wanted to see it. I have
Oh,
13 pieces in my first inaugural uh, collection. So I
wow.
had almost 13 pieces exhibited. Um, and from that opened a whole bunch of doors for exhibitions, museums, galleries. So, since then I've exhibited in a couple of galleries and more to come,
Hmm.
next month and in the summer. So really grateful. So
Yes.
it's a beautiful journey. It's quite a dream come true so fast that
Oh,
I'm very,
good.
very grateful for it. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's very exciting. I'm so happy. Wow, they're beautiful pieces and they're
Thank you.
mesmerizing, truly. I'm so excited to see the rest of your collection.
Thank
Hmm.
you. Thank you. Yeah.
What piece of advice would you have to give? Well, two questions. One, or whatever aligns with you, to a young artist, and then also to a mother who might be learning to
Mm,
get back into it or
yeah.
try something new.
Well, I would say to truly look into your heart. I think you look within you, not to satisfy the world, but really satisfy your own desires of whatever uh, passion you have, and to trust it. Really go for it. Really try to be authentic and not to copy. It's very tempting to copy whatever's popular out there, but what truly makes your art unique and people who look at it is something that's different. That's something that represents truly you, and they're looking for that true, authentic story. Um, I think nothing replaces that original, uh, a piece of art that represents the artist and the story. I think
Mhm.
anyone who wants to collect art, they're looking for that story. There's so much talent out there, so much replica of things, but nobody wants to get a piece of art that looks like another artist. They want to
Mm.
see, they want to have something really, really original. And I really, whether it goes to somebody or whether somebody purchases it, the gratification that you get from letting your own passion come out on a canvas, on a sculpture, or any form of art that you make is invaluable. I think
Mhm.
that's the most gratifying thing you can do in the process of your artwork.
Mhm. That was nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. If someone's feeling, because it's nice that you said don't don't copy and allow yourself to be seen is what I heard from it. How would you practice getting into that space? If somebody, because I would assume at the beginning it's so foreign, you don't even know
Mm.
what that would look like. What would be some tips to move into this space to just create? Because it's not like writer's block, but creativity block of some sort. How does one get past
Yeah.
that?
I suggest to expose yourself as much as possible in a creative world. If I would get blocked, I would go to a gallery. I would go look into the YouTube videos on how to make certain art that I have a vision, but I don't know how to materialize it. Then you go and look into techniques. You learn it. You take a course. You go on a workshop of art. That really truly gives you a little kick to being where you need to be. Just like writing, you're not a great writer at the beginning. Um,
Hmm.
you have to take courses. You have to do it over and over and over again until you get it right. Even if you do have to sometimes at the beginning copy a way of doing making art. A lot of artists uh, do have videos and classes to teach. I think if you do that, then you apply that to whatever you truly want to do. It becomes slowly, it does become, when you feel more confident about your skills, then you produce what you really envision. So I
Right.
think diving into creative worlds.
Yes, yeah, thank you. So simple, but I think at least I forget in the art world, every other industry, it's go take a course and learn. But in art,
Yeah,
you forget that, oh yes, you just keep learning, keep taking classes, trying new mediums and
that's
artists
right.
and teachers.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Where can everyone find your work, or how can they, the website or social media? How can they
Yes.
reach out to
The
you?
only social media that I have, and that's all I can keep up with, is Instagram.
Hmm.
On my, I don't have other ones. I just, it already takes so much time.
Yes.
It's Art by Haisha. That's my Instagram,
Hmm.
and my website is on there too.
Okay.
So Instagram is really the place where it's very active, and anything new that comes up, I post it there. And then I do have a web designer who takes care of my website. So anything, announcements or more work
Mm.
that's coming up, then she uploads it on my website.
Yes.
So I try to keep it up to date as much as possible. So my
It's
email is
work.
there as well. Yeah, on my website. But
Hmm.
Instagram is so far is the easiest and the quickest way to get in touch with me,
Hmm.
and follow the most recent works that have been done.
Amazing. And you will be exhibiting at Art Vancouver, which is April 24th to the 27th, 2025, at the Vancouver Convention Center. Do you know how many pieces you'll have ready for it?
Well, I think I'm gonna bring in three pieces, which is one of them is this one. There's another
Hmm.
one called Born and Gaia, the one I spoke about.
Yes.
I'm hoping it will all fit in the booth that I have.
Hmm.
So I'll work with what I can put in there, and whatever looks good in there, I'll leave it. Um,
Great.
so it will be great. I'm looking forward to it. This is the local convention that I'm participating. I'm really excited to get into that community.
Good. Yes, I'm so excited as well. It's going to be a great
Yeah.
experience, and I can already see opening night your booth packed of everyone just mesmerized by the pieces.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I can't imagine. It's a beautiful experience to have. That's another thing I know I'm going to learn so much from, and enjoy every minute of it. The
Mhm.
exposure, the experience, the meeting the other artists. It'll be
You
nice.
really get to become great friends with everyone when you spend at least 10
Yeah,
hours a day with each other.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
it's great. You make such a, and you're all similar people, so not similar, but just similar intentions
Yeah,
of life and the way of
right.
moving that you just sort of click, and it's like you're just as weird as I am on your own way, so
It's beautiful to speak the same language, really. You
yes,
know?
precisely. Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Haisha. I really appreciate your time and sharing your life story and everything about you. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. It was a pleasure talking to you. Nice to finally meet you face to
As
face.
well. Yes.
Yeah, and I know you spoke about doing art. I didn't get a chance to ask you, but kind of you do painting, right? So I'd
Yes.
love to see some of your art.
Thank you. I will just